Hello again. Hello again, everyone. Hello again, everyone, and to our live stream audience, welcome. Friends, the past 18 months have changed us. It feels like everything we've been through has fundamentally shifted the way that we see ourselves and each other. This pandemic has claimed the lives of too many loved ones. For the rest of us, it's reshaped the way we live in countless ways, big and small. At the same time, we're experiencing a social upheaval that some have called a new civil rights movement. Urgent questions about power and privilege are prompting us to re-examine our most basic ideas about the institutions that shape our lives. It's got many of us grappling with profound questions about identity and belonging. We're reconsidering ideas about where we came from and where we're going. We're fiercely debating the stories we tell about our past and the plans that we have for our future. NCCJ doesn't advocate for any one particular group or philosophy. We do advocate for respectful, inclusive, and equitable treatment for all people. We work to build more compassionate communities that are free of bias, bigotry, and racism. We do that by helping people look past biases to truly see each other as complex, complete human beings that we all are. Of course, that's easier said than done. It's not easy to always look past headlines and memes, slogans and stereotypes. It's hard. It takes humility. Most of all, it takes practice. In this time of upheaval, so many people in this community, including many of you here tonight, have turned to NCCJ for help managing biases and practicing having more respectful and effective conversations. NCCJ exists to serve you, and we exist because of you. Thank you for giving us the support that we've needed to sustain and grow so that we can keep meeting this unprecedented demand for our programs. And thank you for everything you do to advocate NCCJ's mission within our community. This evening is all about celebrating and uplifting the people and practices that create compassionate communities. In particular, we are gathered to honor 3 local leaders who are well known and widely admired for their hands-on approaches for building more respectful, fair, and inclusive communities. At this time, I would ask that our 2021 Citation Award honorees please stand. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Betty Cohn and Kitty and Earl Cogden. You'll hear a lot more about our honorees later this evening. Our dinner chair, Derek Ellington, has also taken a hands-on approach to this work. Derek has earned a well-deserved reputation as an executive dedicated to developing equitable and inclusive practices within his industry and within every organization he's worked with. On behalf of NCCJ's staff and board of directors, I thank Derek for his passion and the vision that he's brought to the role of dinner chair. I'm also grateful to the company that Derek works with, Wells Fargo, for putting their generous support behind NCCJ's work as the presenting sponsor for tonight's event. Please join me in thanking all of our sponsors. The financial support our sponsors provide makes NCCJ's work with our students, educators, and businesses across the community possible throughout the year. While each of these champions deserves a separate round of applause, I ask that you kindly wait and clap until everyone has been recognized. Let's have one more round of applause for the people who helped make this evening possible. I'd now like to turn the mic over to Mona Edwards, NCCJ's board chair. I don't have the words to properly thank Mona for all the good work that she does for NCCJ and our entire community. So let me just say how deeply grateful I am for her wisdom, her friendship, and her partnership in leading NCCJ through this milestone year.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Mona Edwards, and I have the honor of serving as chair of NCCJ's Board of Directors. I am delighted to welcome you to NCCJ's 55th Annual Citation Award Dinner. I am proud to lead NCCJ's board of 38 people. Together, our board members reflect and represent the beautiful diversity of our triad community. We are Black, White, Latinx, and Asian. We are Gen Y, Millennials, and Baby Boomers, gay and straight, Jewish and Christian, agnostic and atheist, liberal and conservative. Many of us are parents or grandparents of children who attended Anytown, NCCJ's flagship youth leadership and human relations program. Some of us attended Anytown. As you've probably guessed, I am not present in the Guilford Ballroom tonight. Like many of you, though, I will be watching the program virtually via live stream, as many of our virtual guests are as well. The reason I'm not in the room with you is that I'm in California with my daughter and her family as we welcome a new addition to our family. Joining you tonight from across the country feels like it fits pretty well with our new normal. Over the past 18 months, we've learned how to stay connected even when we are apart. We're also staying connected in new ways because we're seeing into each other's homes. It's challenging, but also enriching to get to know each other in a different way. Appreciating the richness and complexity, and yes, the spontaneity of each other's real lives. we see more of who we authentically are. We're catching sight of our children, our pets, our partners, our artwork, and books we own. We're seeing and sharing all those beautiful real-life details that stitch together to create the fabric of our lives and which remind us of our common humanity. This new normal has helped me to see that in many ways we are more alike than we are different. It's also enabled me to appreciate our differences too. So thank you for making space in your real lives for tonight's Citation Dinner, where you join with NCCJ as we celebrate our common humanity and embrace our diversity as well. Tonight, you'll hear from our dinner chair, Derek Ellington. You'll also hear from some of the students NCCJ has worked with over the past 18 months and learn what they are doing to make a difference in our schools. And you'll hear about the remarkable work that our honorees have been doing since the 1960s to make our communities of Greensboro and High Point better places for all of us, not just some of us. However, first, I want to thank our presenting sponsor, Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo's generous gift is so much more than an event sponsorship. It's a significant investment in NCCJ's work to build more respectful and compassionate communities. Just like each of you are investing in NCCJ's work when you sponsor a table, buy a ticket, or make a gift of any size to NCCJ. You're also investing when you support a student attending any town or when you participate in an NCCJ community program for adults. Showing up or tuning in tonight is also an investment of your time and attention. What we invest in, what we pay attention to matters. It reveals our values and our priorities. Thanks to each and every one of you for your support and for the gift of your presence. We are honored you are with us. Now, it's my pleasure to introduce our dinner chair, Derek Ellington, who is with you in the room this evening.
Hello and good evening to all of you. I'm really excited about being here with you this evening. I'm joined here on stage with my wife Sheila and my sons Jalen, Devontae, Stedman, and Theron. I'm Derek Ellington. And I am honored to be your chair of NCCJ's 55th Citation Award dinner. We have a number of additional family members in the audience tonight, friends and co-workers here supporting us tonight. And it's really important to me to have my family with me on the stage. First of all, because everything I do is for them, and I want to take a moment to thank them. I've lived a really blessed life, and when I think about that life, I've served on a number of companies in many leadership roles over the last 24 years, and I'm honored to have served in that capacity. I'm also a Christian. I'm a proud life member of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, and Alpha Phi Alpha shares many of the same principles of social justice as NCCJ. I've been fortunate to serve on many boards in this community where we've worked tirelessly to provide access to affordable housing, diminish food insecurity, and create better health equity for all here in the Triad. However, at my core, I'm a 51-year-old black man who's the father of 4 black sons. And every day I worry about my sons just having the opportunity in the world to achieve their best selves. Given the events that we've all witnessed over the past 2 years, I don't have to explain to any of you the challenges that black men face in America. My family is why this work of creating a more inclusive and equitable community is so important to me. They are my why. As many of you know firsthand, and as the rest of you have come to understand, being a black American, and especially being black in the South, is complicated. I bet each of you can make your own personal list as to why this is the unfortunate truth. While those reasons are worth exploring and understanding, that's not what I'm up here to do tonight. I'm here to talk to you about opportunity and access. To do that, I'm going to tell you a story tonight about my family's history. I recently traced my mom's side of the family back as far as I could to a woman named Charlotte Nix. And Charlotte was born in 1822, and she was born into slavery in Virginia. When she was older, she was brought south to live on the Nix family plantation in a community called Okie Street, Alabama. Okie Street was an unusually inclusive Southern community. For me and my family, it's a reminder of what can develop out of creating an environment of equity and respect for all people. I'm going to start by showing you some slides from going back in my family history. And this first slide is a historical marker that denotes Okie Street, Alabama. And it lists all of the original white settlers that settled the community. All their names are listed to include a number of key professionals, like the community physician, Dr. Jernigan, whose son helped save my grandfather's life when he was bitten by a black widow spider during his lifetime. There are many others listed. The next slide shows a photograph of the historic Okie Street Church that has stood the test of time since the 1800s and has been preserved and still hosts services throughout the year today. And you'll see some tombstones in that cemetery at Okie Street Church that date back to people being born in the late 1700s, who again were the original settlers of this community. The next slide shows the official marker on the church in the National Registry of Historic Places. Again, our history teaching us today. The next slide is a critical one. Many people will look at this slide and not know what it represents in the cemetery there at Okie Street Church. But this pile of dark rocks marks the grave of a slave of one of the slave owners that is the slave that's buried in the cemetery. And again, this is one way that graves were marked during that time period. In the background, you'll see a couple of single dark stones that also denote additional graves of slaves in that cemetery. The next slide shows a different way of denoting the graves of slaves in that cemetery, where there were a number of slaves buried together inside of this circle of dark rocks. Again, no true headstones, no names, but again, this is historically how their graves were marked. When you think about this and you think about our history, again, it speaks volumes to what today, again, we still learn from and progress forward on. But when you look at the next slide, you're going to see something very unique, a marker that denotes all of the black original citizens of this community, just like there was a historical marker with the original white settlers. These are all the former slaves and black citizens that, again, settle this community. And my mom's surname is listed there among many that are denoted. Again, so that history is not lost. Very unusual for that to be depicted in a cemetery. The next slide speaks further. This is the slide of my ancestor, Charlotte Nix, and her grave being marked. There's one inaccuracy on the tombstone. It shows her birth as 1805. Through our family history, we believe that's the birth of her mother. She was actually born in 1822. And again, Charlotte's grave has a headstone and a marker with information about who she was. Also, the next slide shows her son, Adam, and his wife, Lucinda's grave being marked. And lastly, her second son has a marker on his grave, and his name is Mose Nix. Very unusual that out of the entire cemetery, these are the only black people with headstones with their names and their birth and death information. So, when you think about it, again, Charlotte has been given an identity in this cemetery as a real person whose life was valued beyond servitude. How did this happen? I'm sure you're sitting at your table asking that question. Who was the catalyst for this? Well, her name is Fern Nix. Fern was a lifelong member of the Oakey Street Church. She was also a community historian and unofficial mayor of the community. She projected the persona of a traditional college-educated, single Southern white woman who never married or bore children. It was important to Fern to document the existence of Charlotte and her sons in that cemetery, because Fern would reveal later in life that Charlotte was indeed her grandmother also. Yes, Fern was a mixed-race woman who passed for white her entire life. The courage of Fern and others helped to ensure generations would come to know the differences between Oakey Street community and many other places. The Nix plantation where Charlotte lived is approximately a 240-acre plantation that is 4 miles from where my grandfather purchased a farm in 1938 that is still in our family. I can only imagine that what Charlotte must have thought each day as she rose with the purpose of serving others and her family without an opportunity to think of herself. I'm sure she never stopped dreaming of a better life for the generations to come after her. And Oakey Street, again, is a unique community, not only in rural Alabama, but in the United States. The original families that settled the community in the early 1800s decided at some point to allow former enslaved people to purchase property. At that time, black people couldn't go to the bank and obtain a loan to make purchases. People saved and paid cash for things and entered into difficult working agreements where they agreed to do work to pay for things over time. Then as time moved on, these white and black landowners coexisted. Within this little community, there was an overwhelming culture of collaboration and not division. It was all about helping each other be self-sufficient. A lot of black families owned properties and operated farms that were self-sufficient small businesses, diversified. They had row crops, livestock, timber, and they thrived generation to generation. Today, land in the community is largely owned by black families. And when you add up the parcels of property now owned by Charlotte's descendants, the total far exceeds the original acreage of the Nix plantation. Access and equity made all the difference. And so my mother's family thrived during a time when so many black Americans suffered and struggled. They thrived because they lived in a community that welcomed and included them, a community that offered them access and opportunity to participate in a society equally. Like my ancestor Charlotte, like all my ancestors, and like yours, I'm working to build a better life for my family. I'm like you, helping to build the world I want to see for all people. Of course, I'm doing that work today in another unusual community. Greensboro is much larger than Okie Street, Alabama, and it too is a very inclusive Southern community. The Piedmont Triad has a rich history of welcoming people of all races, a history of offering all people access and opportunity. NCCJ was founded more than 80 years ago to build bridges between people of different religions and backgrounds. For decades, NCCJ has been helping to bring us together and celebrate our differences, not fear them. I'm proud to be working with NCCJ and with all of you here tonight to make this community an even more welcoming place for all of us to call home. Everything we're doing today is far beyond anything Charlotte and her children could have ever imagined. But none of our dreams can be realized if we're not all safe, if we're not all given the opportunity to reach our full potential, and without anything inhibiting us. If we're all made to feel welcome and safe, if we're all given that opportunity to pursue our dreams, then the sky is the limit to what we can achieve. I'll say it again, when we're given a fair opportunity, the sky is the limit on what we can achieve. So that's the story of my family. And I've talked a lot about my family and myself to ground you in what this means to me tonight. I'm going to ask my family to return to their seats as we continue with the program. Thank you. I'm also here tonight representing Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo is proud to sponsor this year's Citation Award dinner at the Legacy Champion level. We see the work that NCCJ and all of us in this room tonight are doing as the highest priority in our society. At Wells Fargo, diversity, equity, and inclusion are interwoven into our culture and company priorities. We must reinvest consistently to support perpetuating an environment that creates opportunities for everyone to succeed. Thank you to NCCJ for your tireless leadership in fighting bias, bigotry, and racism in all forms. We at Wells Fargo share those same values. I'm sure each of you have your own personal reasons as to why you're here this evening. Whether you're here to celebrate our Citation Award honorees, or to enjoy an evening with friends and colleagues, or because you've invested in NCCJ's mission, or for whatever your reason may be, I want to say thank you. I want to emphasize what an important role each one of you in this room is playing in this work. All of you are making critical investments to further NCCJ's mission of fighting bias, bigotry, and racism, and working to advance equity and inclusion in our community. Many of you are doing even more than what I've described. Over the past 18 months, it's become clearer than ever before that if we truly want to live and work in a fair and inclusive community, each of us must do the work it takes to make that dream a reality. With that in mind, let's take a few moments to celebrate some DE&I champions right here in our Triad community. These are people who have gone above and beyond to create more diverse, equitable, and inclusive workplaces for their colleagues. I'm going to start with our first slide with Jessica Short. Jessica is an Associate Vice President and Human Resources Business Partner at Arch MI. Arch's CEO, David Gansberg, says that Jessica has been critical to the launch and continued focus of our D&I journey. She's committed to working across the organization with a wide range of employees to create a diverse and inclusive workplace. She not only listens to all voices, but advocates for an environment where all voices are both heard and welcome. Next, we'll talk about Kiva Elliott. Kiva Elliott is the Chief Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Officer at Cone Health. In the words of Dr. Mary Jo Cagle, the CEO of Cone Health, Kiva is an inspirational leader who reaches across barriers of all kinds to include our people in conversations that lead to possibilities of growth, hope, and change. She has made an impact in our organization by challenging us to embrace our differences and the power they bring us. Next, we'll talk about Rodney Mayhew. Rodney is the Reverse Logistics Coordinator at Ralph Lauren. Roz Frazier, Diversity Inclusion Lead, says, as a member of Ralph Lauren's North Carolina Campus Diversity and Inclusion Council, Rodney is passionate and engaged in every meeting, event, discussion, and learning. His willingness to learn from other cultures and be an ally to so many communities shows his authentic commitment to diversity and inclusion. Susan Swartz, the Executive Director of the Semela Foundation, chose to spotlight Kevin Gray. Kevin Gray is the president of the Weaver Foundation. Susan says, we're grateful to Kevin for collaborating to navigate this endeavor, engaging larger organizations, identifying the need for better coordination at the school district level, developing with schools a plan that Weaver could fund each year, enabling volunteers to free up school employees' time, encouraging innovation, and ensuring that more and more hungry students are fed. Next, we'll talk about Dr. Andrea Hunter. Dr. Hunter is a professor at UNCG's Department of Health and Human Studies. Chancellor Frank Gallium says that Dr. Hunter is a leader, collaborator, and a change agent. As UNC Greensboro's Chancellor's Fellow for Campus Climate, she has advanced actions, policies, and practices that have created a more equitable and inclusive campus for which we have received national recognition and become a model on how to achieve inclusive excellence. Now I'm going to turn the spotlight to one of my new colleagues and teammates, Thurman Tolan. Thurman is the Wells Fargo Work Senior Program Manager. In the words of Bill Turleton, Regional Manager for Wells Fargo at Work Atlantic, Thurman has been instrumental at leading our segment through our diversity journey. Thurman speaks with candor about his experiences and delivers in a way that empowers all of us to think differently about our actions. Next, we'll talk about Hallie Vakani. Hallie is a partner and the Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Committee Chair at Wyrick Robbins. Jeremy Yates, Managing Partner at Wyrick Robbins, sums up Hallie's impact this way. All of us at Wyrick Robbins are tremendously proud of the work Hallie has done to advance diversity, equity, and inclusion efforts both in our firm and throughout our community. Her leadership as our DE&I Committee Chair has brought creative programs and meaningful conversations to our firm. There is still work to be done to bring true equity to the legal profession and our broader community. But we're fortunate that our work is made a bit easier and certainly more fun because of Hallie's spirit and tenacity for change. So let's take a moment to raise our hands and thank all these sponsors who helped us spotlight these remarkable folks and the work they're doing every day within their organizations. And of course, you don't have to or need to be an executive or work within a large company to be a leader in building more inclusive communities. In just a few minutes, you'll hear from some teens who are doing the work in their schools. They participated in NCCJ programs like Anytown and STAR, and they aren't waiting to make a difference. But first, I'd like to invite another Anytown alum up to the stage. Sam Freebush went to Anytown in 2011. He began his musical career at a young age. After graduating from Weaver Academy, he went on to earn a degree in contemporary improvisation from the New England Conservatory of Music. The pandemic changed the trajectory of many of our lives. For Sam, it canceled a planned world tour and prompted him to leave New Orleans, where he was playing in historic venues with many other talented musicians, and come back home to Greensboro. You've already heard Sam's music tonight during the reception and over dinner. Now, Sam and his band have another song to play for you. Please join me in welcoming this great band to our stage.
How y'all doing? All right. Got Mr. Butler Knowles on the bass, Taylor Williams on guitar, Chuck Pinkney on drums, Maya Camille on vocals.
I woke up to the morning sky first, baby blue just like we rehearsed. When I get up off this ground, I shake the leaves back to the ground, brown, brown, till I'm clean. Then I wake when I be shaded by the trees, by a meadow of green for about a mile. I'm headed to town, town, town in style, with all my faded colors, all my favorite colors. My sisters and my brothers, see them like no other. All my favorite colors. A good day to see my favorite colors. My sisters and my brothers, see them like no other. All my favorite colors. Yeah. Now take me to the other side, where the bitty, bitty birds fly, and gray clouds or white walls or blue skies, we gon' fly, we'll be alright, oh. And we go ooh, 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 ooh. It sounds like ooh, 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 ooh. The least I can say, I anticipate a homecoming parade as we renegade in the morning.
We're
everybody.
Thank you all so much. Really appreciate you. One more round of applause for the band. Hello, everyone. My name is Maria Perdomo, and I am NCCJ's Assistant Program Director. Thank you. But last time I was on this stage speaking to you all, I was an NCCJ Youth Ambassador, just like these students beside me today. I'm just a little less nervous than I was back then. I went to Anytown in 2010, and it changed my life in more ways than I can count. Today, I get to pay it forward by directing Anytown and other NCCJ programs. I work closely with students and educators all over the Triad. The pandemic hasn't changed NCCJ's mission, but it did change how we do our work. Right away, we knew we needed to be flexible and find creative ways to keep serving and supporting our students. And thanks to support from people like you, that's exactly what we've done. First, we went from doing 0 virtual programs to offering a lot of virtual programs. We adapted programs like Any Day and Break the Cycle, Be the Change for virtual delivery. Both of these programs help students connect across lines of difference and give them tools to challenge discrimination and bullying in their communities. Last summer, we worked with a group of volunteers who attended Anytown anywhere from 21 to 9 years ago to create a brand new hybrid program called STAR, Students Talking About Race and Racism, which is exactly what it sounds like. We partnered with the International Civil Rights Center and Museum here in Greensboro to pilot the program. And we've now delivered 2 sessions and plan to at least deliver 2 more by the end of the school year. Our most immersive program is Anytown. It's 6 days in the mountains with no cell phones and lots of connection and conversation. The pandemic prevented us from having Anytown in 2020, but thanks to vaccinations and a lot of help and advice from Cone Health and Guilford County Health Department, we did have an Anytown this summer, and it was incredible. Yeah. Even though I went through it as a teenager, I'm always amazed by how the Anytown experience strengthens young people's sense of self. They come home with so much passion and pride and self-confidence. I once had a student tell me they had never realized just how much they loved themselves because they'd never been given the space to talk about their identity with other people. This shift in mindset can literally shift entire communities. The students here with me today are all NCCJ Youth Ambassadors, which means they've been part of programs like Anytown and STAR. At the beginning of the year, I got together with some of them to workshop a list of social justice topics they'd wanted other people to learn about. Our list was pretty long. It included resources on race, gender, food insecurity, privilege, you name it. That list eventually became the 29-Day Reset. It's a self-guided program. You can read all about it and find a link to sign up for it in your event program tonight. On top of helping create these initiatives, student ambassadors go back into their schools and join or create clubs to continue spreading the lessons learned over the summer. A few weeks ago, an NCCJ board member approached me after hearing some of these young people speak. She had tears in her eyes, and she asked me, "Are these students the exception or the rule?" And I've been thinking about that a lot. I have so much respect and admiration for these young people standing with me, but they're working incredibly hard to create communities where it's not exceptional to care about justice and inclusion. They're working to make it the rule. And I could talk to you about these students and what they're working on for hours, but nothing I could say is better than hearing directly from them. Every month, I get together with them to continue the conversations we started at Anytown and STAR, and every time our meetings end, I'm left feeling like I wish someone could record them because their conversations are so inspiring and beautiful. I'm lucky to share that space with them, but I just wish we could all listen in. So tonight, you'll be able to do just that. Please turn your attention to the screens to get a glimpse at what these conversations look like.
I'm Cameron. I am 17 years old, and I go to Northwest High School.
My name is Ava. I am 15. I use she, her pronouns, and I go to Grimsley.
My name is Evan. I'm 17 years old and I go to Grimsley High School.
My name is Gia. I also go by Judy. I'm 16 years old and I go to Northwest High School.
My name is Nick. I use he, they pronouns. I'm 17 and I go to Southwest High School.
I'm Raven. I am 17. I use the pronouns she, her, hers, and I go to the Burlington School.
What are some stereotypes that exist for young people that want to engage in social justice?
As I think about like my senior process and like applying to the different schools, every time I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a part of NCCJ and I did this, it's like, oh, you're just doing that for your college resume. And I'm like, no. I actually do care about these issues, and advocating for different things that you believe in, I think, is a really core part of your own belief system and who you are. So I think just pushing it aside and just like, you're just doing it for the looks of it, is just kind of, it hurts sometimes.
I think people also would say that you're part of a trend or like bandwagon, you know, like just going along with what other people do.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of teens are also accused of just being angry whenever they want to keep up with social justice issues. It's more of like, oh, you're just angry because you're a teen, so you want to be mad at something else, so you're going to pick social justice issues.
Sometimes I feel like I have to soften my message just so it can get across, and I think that it sometimes creates a problem and where you're not really getting the message you wanted to get across and you're only doing part of it, when you really have like this whole big painting but you only have this one little stroke that people just can handle.
We have opinions as well, but we're not really heard, and I think that's kind of sad that we never get to have a say in the community.
I feel like they always preach to us, they're like, oh, by the way, here's all the problems in the world, but then when you want to fix them, they're like, shut up. And it's like, it's the whole competing between trying to influence others, but they don't want to be influenced themselves, but they need you to influence the world. So
If you could start the world from scratch, what would your ideal community look like? How would people interact with one another?
I would say that it's like one that's based on tolerance and respect and kind of just like talking to each other, like you said, so people can understand different positions.
I think that disagreements on things and having different opinions is important to like a growing community, but I feel like things would be a lot better if people didn't have to have fear for what they say or have fear because of the way they identify or how they look. I think that that would be the start to making like an ideal community.
Like with any town, when you're given that amount of time to like talk with each other, spend time with each other, then you're able to form good relationships that last a while.
For me, it would involve like lots of open and constructive conversations between people, just talking about like our beliefs and like what we're going through, the problems we see, and how we can fix it and how we can make it better.
How has NCCJ helped inspire you to think that a community like this could be possible?
Anytown, it was really people from all over the place, and we were able to have conversations and people learned something, and so that showed me that no matter your background, you can learn, you can change, and you can have a helpful conversation.
It gave me the confidence that like, although it might not be like in the eyes of other people like normal, it's still possible and it can still happen. And so Anytown definitely gave me the confidence. I love meeting different people from everywhere and having that community where we all share this interest in changing things for the better. I'm actually creating a GSA at my school, and like Nick is helping me out with that. We were just having a conversation about how that's going.
What was it about Anytown or Star that made all of those things possible?
I feel like once you open up to people, it's easier to be with them afterwards if you're not keeping hidden feelings and everything's not bottled up. I think a lot of people at Anytown really showed their truest self, and so they feel really comfortable with the people they met there.
I just noticed that, okay, you can openly talk to everybody. You don't just need to talk to your friends. You don't just need to talk to people that you usually click well with. You can talk to everybody, and everyone can have an understanding of one another. Ever since Anytown, I talk to people that I usually wouldn't talk to, and I love that.
Having an open space to talk about like more sensitive topics, I guess you could say, outside of school or with like outside of family. Here I think it's more open and we know what we want to do and we have like an open goal as well. And I think just talking to you guys and learning more together as a team helped me like get to know you guys, have fun, and like meet more people, and I think that was great.
What has been your favorite part about going to Anytown or Star or simply being an NCCJ ambassador?
I felt like Anytown was great because I was really eager to continue the mission that NCCJ does through these programs. And that was like a week-long thing with no phone. We were like kind of isolated on a mountain, and we could talk about all this stuff. So it was a great experience.
Like you said, during quarantine, I really kind of like isolated a lot from my friends. I hadn't talked to people in like 2 years. So then being able to go to Anytown and have these important conversations, but also make really great friends was just a really good experience.
I think the community that you get to be a part of after any of the programs has been the best part, whether it's the ambassadors or going to Anytown. The people are just so amazing and everyone's open and you're not afraid to share anything or like be who you really are. I think that's really the best part about it.
Through Anytown, I was really able to see that open and respectful conversation through lots of different people. It was also a really good experience for me being like out in a public setting as a trans guy and like realizing that like this is possible for me, like it's going to be okay and we're going to get through it. And there's people out there who might not understand it, but they're still willing to like support me and to learn and to grow.
Sometimes I don't know if a community free of bias is possible.
It can be overwhelming to think about.
But if people try to understand each other and have real conversations, I think we can get there.
Think about your ideal community.
Where we can all be ourselves.
Free of bias, bigotry, and racism.
We all deserve that. But to make it happen, we need us all working together. Help us turn our ideal community into reality.
Hi, Raven.
Hi, Nick. What's up?
Wow, I don't know about you, but I'm deeply impressed by the work these students are doing to uplift their peers and make their schools more inclusive. I'm impressed by their vision, their courage, and their authenticity, and by the vulnerability it took for them to share their dreams and goals with all of us. Let's have another round of applause for these young people. What these students are doing is also a testament to the quality and integrity of NCCJ and its programs. As we take inspiration from these young people, I believe it's also critical that we do what we can to invest in helping them achieve their goals. We can make sure NCCJ is always here to have their backs and ours. Our support, yours and mine, ensures that teens in our community always have the opportunity to participate in programs like Anytown and STAR, regardless of their background or family income. But these students don't exist in a bubble. They're part of our community, and we're part of their community. So it's critical that our support also ensures that the adults in their lives, the parents, the teachers, the future employers, always have the opportunity to keep learning and growing by participating in NCCJ programs like Open Minds, Respectful Voices, and the 846 series. In other words, we can provide that access and that opportunity for an entire community to practice having more respectful conversations and creating more inclusive spaces. I'm up here to ask you to make an investment in NCCJ's work. I see it as an investment in our collective future. Each year, this Citation Award event raises more than 50% of the revenue that NCCJ needs to stay open and keep serving our community. That means your gift is essential to sustaining and growing NCCJ's work and the wonderful programs you've heard so much about this evening. This year, we set a goal of raising $360,000 through this event. Thanks to the generosity of our sponsors and those of you who purchased tickets or made donations, we've already raised $310,000 of that money. So tonight, I'm asking you to help us raise $50,000 to meet our goal. Will you join me and my family by making an investment to sustain and grow this great work? If you're a sponsor or you bought tickets, thank you. But please consider digging a little deeper if you can. If you're here as a guest, please consider making a personal investment. Each of you has a wish list card at your seat inside an envelope. Filling out this card is one way to make your gift to support NCCJ's work. It looks just like this. So everybody take a moment, locate your envelopes, take a second to pull out those cards and read them. And it's really easy to make a gift. You've got a few options. Take a look at your wish list card or the screens for more details. Please make your gift now in whatever amount and whatever method you prefer. I'm counting on your help to meet our shared goal. Once you fill out your wish list card, place it in the blue bag on your table. NCCJ's youth ambassadors will come through the room to pick up your completed cards and donations. Just raise your hand when your table is ready for them to pick those up. Tonight, everyone who makes a gift will be entered into a drawing for 3 door prizes. So here's the fun. That includes folks who give online or make pledges. First up, everyone who donates will be entered into a drawing for a $100 gift card for Visual Index, an independent art gallery in Winston-Salem. Next, everyone who donates will be entered into a drawing to win 4 seats at one of Gia's monthly chef table dinners. And I can tell you, I've been to many. They're outstanding. Finally, if you invest $50 or more in NCCJ's work, you'll be entered into a drawing for a one-night stay at the O. Henry Hotel. Even if you don't make a gift this evening, NCCJ would love to stay in touch with you. Please fill your name and email address out so that we can share news about upcoming programs, event, and what we're up to throughout the year. Thank you for taking the time to consider my request and for making such generous investments in NCCJ's work. I also want to take a moment to thank the wonderful NCCJ youth ambassadors for creating that fantastic video and for volunteering their time to be with us this evening. Now we're going to shift gears a little bit in our program. You've heard a lot tonight about the evidence of NCCJ's work. Now it's time to see those values in action as we turn our focus to tonight's Citation Award honorees. Our first honoree is Betty Cohn. And I have to say myself, Betty Cohn is a community building powerhouse. Over the decades, Betty has helped transform Greensboro City Center and create hundreds of ways to bring people of all identities together. Let's take a moment to hear from some people who have worked closely with Betty.
The hundreds, if not thousands of lives that she has touched will all feel like, Betty is my friend.
I think it's in Betty's DNA. I think that's who she is. I think, we all have great gifts and talents, every one of us, and they're different, and hers leans that way. And she's able to visualize things that most of us never would be able to visualize.
I think that she's like most people who are successful. They don't look backward, they look forward. And she always looks forward.
She just throws herself into it totally. And it's wonderful.
The drive to have things better, that is just so important to her. And she thinks of great things to do, ranging from the Carolina Theater to the festivals to making South Elm a historic place to be, helping get that area revived. So, the more you do, the more you can do.
She saved this theater that we're in now, the Carolina Theater. One of her legacies is, if nothing at all, she built a place people of every diverse background can come sit and enjoy with that creativity. She might as well have been talking about the whole city, not just the Carolina Theater.
She has always wanted to get everybody to be, Greensboro to be their city. And she knew that would be a happier, healthier city if that would happen. And so she has always made almost everything she's worked in that an invite to any group.
I think Fun Fourth is a classic example of that, where you have people of all walks of life, all ethnicities coming together, laughing, enjoying the various stages and artists, having food, talking to each other, laughing together. And I think she, somewhere in the back of her mind, knew that that's what that would do.
And then the street festivals that included everybody, everybody can come. And just, that just is part of, if you're going to be a community, you need to be inclusive. And she understands that, that just runs through her.
One of the things I realized was those festivals, the intended consequence that Betty knew was it brought the community together. And it created the vibe, the vibrancy, the energy of bringing the entire community together. And you can only do that downtown.
If you looked at the Fun Fourth, and over years, there were so many people, not that just came, but that volunteered to work on it. And I know she had a following of people that worked every single year. Well, you would kind of know who they were, and then the next year it would be another group and another group. It was just everybody participated, and it was just something that you wanted to do. You wanted to be involved.
We were involved and loving to be involved, and found it very important. Whatever Betty was doing was always very important.
And the reason she did that was to bring our city together and help us to feel pride in our community and to recognize the importance of everybody's living here and feeling included.
Betty was always there. She was sweeping the pavement. She was doing whatever the rest of us were always doing. So therefore, she is highly respected as a person who wants these things done, but is going to participate in doing them.
I recall that there was a fundraiser at the depot, the train depot, which at that time was a closed facility. It was not in operation. And I found her in the ladies' room cleaning out the stalls. And I thought to myself, this is Mrs. Cone. And I thought to myself, if she is humble and meek enough to go in and clean out a toilet stall in a decrepit building which was closed for operation, then I felt a sense of determination and a sense of mission and purpose, and I just connected with that, and I said, I want to be a part of that. I want to help.
She is rare because she can envision things. She's got lots of exposure to the arts and cares about the arts. But then she knows technically, I mean, from a business standpoint, how to get things done.
Nobody can say no to Betty. And better yet, Betty Cone never said no to her community. And that's a tremendous thing that we all respect in Betty.
Betty does not seek attention. She does not seek recognition or awards. And I think deeply that this award comes to her as not only a surprise, but as something that will warm her heart for the rest of her life.
It's with great appreciation that I say thank you to NCCJ for honoring me with this 55th Brotherhood Sisterhood Citation Award, along with Kitty and Earl Congdon. I particularly want to thank my husband Benji and my sons BC and Sam for giving me space and encouragement over the years to take on volunteer efforts and leadership roles in the arts, education, preservation, and downtown revitalization. The goal to establish centrally located arts facilities to serve community arts and city arts was handed off to the Arts Council. So as the brand new president, I appointed Sam Hummel as chairman of a committee to tackle this goal, and we set to work. The Arts Council pledged to buy and save the Carolina Theater, and we challenged the City Council to do the same to create a cultural center, which they did over on Davie Street. And so the community has really profited by those efforts over the many years. It made a big difference in our community and the region. This effort led me to an interest in preservation, as Old Greensboro was named to the National Register of Historic Places. And that sort of turned the community attention to downtown. Fun Fourth Festival started as a celebration in 1976 of the founding of our country. So when Mayor Melvin calls up and says, please keep it up, you tend to do it. Then City Stage and Festival of Lights emerged and were successful due to our supportive sponsors and the hordes of volunteers that came to help bring people together downtown. Over the time, we really made a difference for people making memories, I think. Derek Ellington was one of our volunteers. He was the chief bagman for City Stage one year, coordinating his Nat Green Kiwanis Club volunteers as they picked up the ticket money from the streets and brought it back to the bank to the accounting team. Making a difference by making opportunities for people to enjoy coming together from all corners of the community and making memories for themselves and their children, seeing them catch on that everyone would really like the same things for their families, regardless of which corner of the city they live in. Their smiles are payment for all of us volunteers. Benji and I attended a national conference of Christians and Jews banquet 50 years ago when Uncle Caesar was being honored with this very same award. It was my introduction to NCCJ, and it was very inspiring to learn about the mission of the organization that's made a huge difference to the quality of life in our county over the last 50 years. So I think I've helped forward the NCCJ wagon a bit, and I am very honored to accept the Citation Award.
Thank you, Betty. As you can tell, everybody in this community loves you, and everybody's got a different story about the impact you've made in our community. So again, we're going to bring Betty up on the stage in a few minutes. But first, it's my pleasure to introduce to you our other honorees, Kitty and Earl Congdon. Kitty and Earl are High Point's guardian angels. They've made their mission to build a more inclusive and equitable High Point by investing generously and strategically in education, healthcare, economic development, and other critical community needs. Once again, please direct your attention to the screens to hear from people who've worked closely with Kitty and Earl.
They are probably the most generous folks I've ever worked with. I love their commitment to the city. I love their commitment to individual people and nonprofits.
Growing up at a very young age, seeing what it means to help others and support others, there's a blessing part of a blessing that we always have in our family with every meal that says, God, help us to help others.
They feel blessed. They feel blessed that their company, Old Dominion Freight Lines, has succeeded. They believe God played a role in that, and they believe that it is their responsibility to take that success and invest it back into the community, which they've done in small ways and in large ways.
Earl and Kitty's philosophy has been to give. I think most importantly, it all flows from Luke 12:48. To whom much is given, much is required. And we as a family have been blessed by God.
They really take the heart verses in the Bible where it talks about those who have been given much, much is expected. I think when they give, they don't give to organizations, they give to people. And I think they have a real heart for making the lives of others better.
The Congdon family has created a culture where they give back, but it even extends to the work family.
You know, they've created this culture at Old Dominion that also is a culture of thankfulness, of giving back.
Old Dominion is always breaking the numbers for what the employees give back to the United Way. And so that only is coming from that culture, you know, to help others who are not as fortunate. And that, of course, comes from the head, from Earl and Kitty.
And they're such humble people, but yet when others know that the Congdon families are involved in something, they want to be a part of it because they know that they have spent time and research and that they truly believe that whatever they're doing is going to make an impact. That encourages others to want to do the same and to be on the same team as Earl and Kitty.
Humility is really strength under control, and they have this strength about them. They built this wonderful company during difficult times. Today, they're working on rebuilding a wonderful community in difficult times. It's that humility and that compassion that drives their work and all that they do for this area.
And Kitty and Earl see that not just their giving is helping others, but it's also an investment in people in our communities and helping make the world a better place. And they want to see that investment, if you want to use that word, be long-lasting, be able to sustain through the years. And some of these organizations that are startup have good leadership, and they just need a little bit of support to get it started.
I'll never forget when, at the end of the meeting, when he was getting ready to leave, and he looked at me and he said, "I'm going to help you and help your community. And it was like he gave me a check then, but of course it wasn't the money, but it was the belief that he had in his eyes, and I think the conviction that was in his voice that he would be there to help our community, and of course, they definitely have.
They're not just interested in the large projects, in the buildings and the larger projects in this city. They're interested in every single thing that impacts the lives of people, especially those most vulnerable in our city. They care about the people. They want to have a brighter future. They want to make a positive impact for change so that even those most vulnerable people can have opportunities.
We have focused on trying to be part of the downtown revitalization efforts, to bring people back to High Point's downtown and to bring community together and to offer programs that will involve all citizens of High Point.
When you walk into the Condon Yards and you meet that business person or potential business person, it's like, you know, you're a full corporation because that space had been provided for you to do your best.
This is a place to build social capital, so you'll see it throughout the campus, a place that's welcoming. We just initiated the Minority Entrepreneurial Initiative and lots of different programs where people will feel welcome here.
I think they're in the business of seeing a city being transformed to a place that others can look at and say, this is what's possible. This is the potential. This is what a community can do together.
There's a purpose for them being here, and that helps guide them to all these efforts that come across their paths. And at the very root of it and at the very foundation of it, it's their faith.
It's all out of love for family, love for community, love for friends, and that's just the way they are. They're a loving couple, and I think that's why they've done all that they've done in their 90 years of life on this earth.
We thank you on behalf of all of us for caring so deeply about God's children and for reaching out beyond yourself to help the community and its nonprofit organizations in bountiful way.
I guess the reason you all have Kitty and me here is because of our involvement in philanthropy, and it's pretty great, honestly. The United Way had been calling on us, and we were making small donations and so forth. So I asked them if they needed another volunteer, and they said yes. And what they got me to do was to be on a committee that would call on their needy folks that were getting money from the United Way. And I was supposed to be able to tell the United Way whether money was being spent wisely, and it was. And then there was the High Point Community Foundation. And I got into that, and they put me on the board of directors, which I enjoyed, and I got to learn a lot more about poverty and need and so forth. In fact, Kitty and I had a little spare money, and we started a donor advised fund. To tell you the truth, I didn't know what a donor advised fund was, but they sure knew, and so they have been managing our donor advised fund all these years. And we've given away a lot of money, and it's been a lot of fun doing it. I think my experience in working with those two agencies and learning and going into the homes and the businesses of entities that were getting the money and seeing what they were doing with it and meeting their children that were benefiting and so forth, it makes you almost want to cry. When we saw the need and as our own personal circumstances got better, it was time to give some of it back. And that's what we're doing, and we're proud of it, and we're having a good time. I think it's more fun giving away our own money than it was giving away the United Way's money. I thought that was fun, but I wondered if it was my money, how would I still like it as well, and like it even better. We appreciate the fact that you all have noticed us, and we thank you for this wonderful event and this award.
Thank you again, Kitty and Earl Congdon, for the amazing impact you've made in this community and what you continue to do for many years to come. Everyone, please join me in welcoming to the stage our 2021 Brotherhood Sisterhood Citation Award honorees, Betty Cohn and Kitty and Earl Congdon. Again, ladies and gentlemen, our 2021 Brotherhood Sisterhood Citation Award honorees, Betty Cohn and Kitty and Earl Congdon. And I want to say again to our honorees, congratulations on this well-deserved honor in spades. I mean, all of us who've been in this community for a while know these individuals extremely well and the impact that they've made. And thank you for being such an inspiration to all of us and for your dedication to reshaping our communities for the better and moving us forward toward a more inclusive and equitable future. Everyone, let's give one more applause to our honorees. Now I have some more good news to share with all of you all. Together, we just raised more than $56,903. So that means we exceeded our goal. And now people that know me around this community, I'm not about a meets. It's always exceeds. So thank you to all you in the room. We exceeded our goal, and that gives us a grand total of $366,903. Now it's my pleasure to announce this evening's door prize winner. So more good news. The winner of our $100 gift card to the Visual Index Gallery is Rachel Percival. I know if Rachel's in the room tonight. Okay, awesome. Next, the winner of the 4 seats at one of Gia's monthly Chef's Table dinners is Mr. and Mrs. W.M. Spencer, Jr. Congratulations, awesome. And finally, the winner of the one-night stay at the O. Henry Hotel is Mark and Tracy Catlett. Congratulations. Again, exciting. Congratulations to all our door prize winners. And the winners, I know some were in the room. I'm not sure if all were in the room, but if you're watching virtually, NCCJ will contact you within the next week to arrange pickup or delivery of your certificate. If you're in the room tonight, you can come to the table beside the stage after the benediction to collect your certificate. One more time, I'd like to express my great thanks to the NCCJ staff, the board of directors, and volunteers for the hard work they put into making this evening a success. And most importantly, thank you all for joining us this evening to celebrate our inspiring honorees and reaffirm your commitment to the vital work of building a more inclusive and equitable community for us all, not just some of us. Now I'd like to introduce Reverend Kirsten Boswell, the University Chaplain and Dean of Multi-Faith Engagement at Elon University. Reverend Boswell will deliver the benediction to wrap up our evening with one final message of compassion and community.
Good evening. Well, my role is to give a good word at the end. And so a wise person wrote, "The effects of our actions extend through space and time like ripples on a pond, influencing not only our future selves, but also our surroundings. If we wish to be a certain kind of person and live in a certain kind of world, we need to be heedful of the seeds that we cultivate." We are here to recognize those among us who are engaged in the important work of planting good seed and have dedicated themselves to enabling our communities to become more equitable and just representations of our best selves. May there continue to be heroes and sheroes among us to remind us of the sacred and crucial task that we are engaged in. The sacred, crucial task of building something that is stronger, purer, and even better equipped to engage our world and withstand the pull of time. The sacred and crucial task of envisioning and creating a beloved community of individuals deeply committed individuals who believe with all of their hearts that we should love others as deeply and fully as we love ourselves, that we should treat others as beautifully and reverently as we would wish to be treated, and that we should leave the world to the younger generations the way we would want it left to us. May they, may you, may we all be blessed in this work. As we prepare to depart from this celebration of recognition, grant that our minds may for even just a moment turn from all that distracts us and embrace a joy and sense of wonder at the importance of our tasks, and pray that our hands are strengthened for this continued good work. And may they, may you, and may we all be blessed in that work. Amen, and have a wonderful evening.